Right, both air boxes have been taken out. What we're going to do now is put them back in. Basically, it's a reverse procedure. Air boxes are double checked before we put new filters in. Obviously that's the right, the other one's marked left. There's a rubber grommet or suction seal. You've got to make sure it's on the air tube. Air input. Just make sure that's fairly seated. There's one on the other side as well. So when you take the air box out, just make sure that is actually seated. There's a bung on the bottom, two on the sides. They've got to locate into the holes. Top first, then the bottom, because that way you've got the main air input seal in. There you go, that clips in. Right, double check it. That's all nicely seated. One of the new air filters. Mark on there. Put it all on my hand there. Right, it's got the top. Obviously the airflow meter's in there. You do not want to touch that, or even spray anything in there at all. That you do not touch. So make sure I've got the right one on. Or the other. That's it. This is the right one. So that's got to be seated on there. Make sure he's all nice and seated. Now before I do that up, I'm going to put the hands on. Now again, this is marked right hand, and the other side is left hand, so you can't get them mixed up. Right hand is here. And before these go on, just double check there's no air, if there's no cracks in there so air can get through. Give them a thorough check over, give them a wipe actually in a minute. Nice and clean anyway. So you're double checking all the veins in there to make sure there's no cracks. There shouldn't be because the car's got low mileage on it. Right hand goes with the right hand. What I tend to do is put this one on first here. Right, get that one on first there. I'm going to get this one on. Now put your hand underneath and make sure it's completely sealed. Right, that's all nice and loose. Right, screwdriver time. Again, make sure this is correctly on. I tend to do the ones at the front first. These are only with a screwdriver and you just got to nip them. I'm going to do them fairly loose at the moment. Going to go in a star shape as well. Just getting slightly down. Again, they're only going into plastic. Now this is basically, if you're going to take the air filter out, you're going to do everything in reverse to what I'm doing at the moment. Right, that's we're doing that up there. Again, just nip it. I'm doing star shape as well. Make sure you're using a good screwdriver, good Phillips one as well. Again, what we're going to do is just basically, sounds like someone's got the quad bike out. Right, now just nip them up a little bit. You've only got to nip them. Something like 5 or 10 Newton meters is all you need. But the main thing is make sure everything is completely sealed. Right, that's fully locked in. Those are going to be done up next. Again, what I'm going to be using is a good 7mm, very small, literally small there. Just going to wobble it so it's nicely seated. they're done up. So you're just going to nip these up. There's an arrow on there as well, and the arrow's got to line up with the metal arrow, so you know you've got it in the right position. Again, these are just literally nipped up. That one, you just make sure it's in the groove there. Nip that one up. It's tight. It's tight. Run your hand around, make sure everything is seated. Now, because I've taken the airflow meter off, there'll be a warning light that comes on because obviously it's been disconnected. There's two clips which have got to be mounting clips which have got to be pushed back in. There's one, there's another one. Now that has got to go in the top. That's my brother going out on the bike. Now, yellow clip on there, when you take it out you've got to pull the yellow tab out and lift the lever up like that. Put it back on, push, lock the yellow in. But if you're going to take it out, you reverse the film and it shows you what to do. Right, what we're going to do now, this is the left hands. Obviously it says on the box left hands, new filter, exactly the same. Let's pull that out. There's a air intake grommet. Make sure that is 100% seated. In fact, it's so easy to do, you can feel it with your hand without even looking. That's nicely seated in. That tube there has got to go into the air unit. Put the air box in. Right, get the box lined up. 2 lugs at the top. Make sure that's seated in, which it is. Push it down. 2 lugs at the top, 1 at the bottom. That's nicely seated. Again, double check it's all nice and clean. New air filter. She can go in. Again, the airflow meter, do not touch, do not spray anything in it. It should be nice and clean, which it is. That has got to sit onto there. Now on the left hand side, there is the bonnet release catch cable. You've got to lift that up. Don't squash it underneath when you screw it up. So the cable's got to go over the top of the airbox. Run your hands around it. Make sure it's seated, which it is. Now, before you do the screws on that, gonna have to put this thing on. Again, you want your airbox loose so you can lift it. Again, double check the veins on it. Make sure there's no hairline cracks. It's fairly clean, but give it a wipe. Just the outside, basically, because underneath you can't get to. So, again, that will say on it left hand, which goes with left hand. I always put this one on first. As I said before a minute ago, this car's only done about 28,000 miles since new, so the filters are in good shape, but I always replace them anyway every 10,000 miles. Right, make sure everything is, just touch the sides. This is the most important thing. Put your hands underneath, wiggle it, make sure you got it's all nicely seated. Again, there's an arrow there. Make sure the arrow is lined up, which it is. Very small 7mm. You just want to knit these up again. And make sure the jubilee clip is nice and square. Just got to knit these up, probably about, I don't know, 10 Newton meters or maybe, just got to nip them. Going to do that a little bit tight there at the moment. Again, You only want to nip them. She's done. She's done. One Phillips screwdriver. Now before you do these up, just run your hands around the sides, make sure it's seated, which it is. Make sure you got the cable ready. Again, I'm going to do these in a star shape. Don't tighten them all the way up, just nip them at the moment. Let it get its own sort of feet. You can see it going down, star shape. Again, with everything you do with the car, can't go wrong if you do a star shape. As I said before, use a good Phillips screwdriver. You don't want to be rounding the heads at all. Always use genuine air filters. I do not believe in K&N air filters. If you go on YouTube and you search K&N air filters, like are they good for your engine? They're not. From my experience, they let too much fine debris in because they're trying to get so much air into the engine. K&N's I would not use at all. Genuine air filters. I mean, manufacturers have spent thousands and thousands on research and development. They came up with a paper filter, which is good. And just nip these up again in a star shape. She's tight. She's tight. 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 Again, run your hand around, move it around. Those are done, those are done. That's secure. Just got to put the airflow meter. So basically push it on, push the clip down, she's in. Check the cables on everything you do. Double check everything. I've got to put the cover on there as well. That's one thing you've got to do on this side, is you've got to take the cover off to take the airbox out, which is easy to do. While you've got it out, double check your coolant level. Minimum and maximum. Stone cold engine, it should be on maximum, which it is. Obviously when it's cold, not hot. Put the clips in as well. Hold on to these, you do not want these dropping down into the engine bay. Lock it on, push it in. There we go. So easy it is to do the air filters. Job done. Cap hasn't been touched. Right, that's on. Those are done up. Airbox is secure. Other side's done.